Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Passimian Valley. I'm glad to be here with three very talented Redditors, if Reddit takes any talent. And I'll start by introducing everybody, and then they could add on to that introduction as much as they want. You could give your Reddit name, your PTCGO name, your real name, your credit card number, anything really. So I guess we'll start alphabetically. So we have here Blackguard. I'm not sure how you guys want to pronounce it. You guys can correct me later.
That's right.
So for Blackguard, my relationship with him is pretty much I took his deck list and I changed two cards and I could call it my own. So I am.
Hey.
So how about you introduce yourself, Blackguard?
Hi, my name is Joe, aka Blackguard from Reddit, and I've been playing for a little over 2 years competitively since last season. I've been maining Espeon Garb since rotation. I've played 2 cups with it. First one I got top 8, and this past weekend I made first with it. So the deck's pretty good.
All right, sounds good. So now we have Johnny D14. To really describe Johnny is that every time you open a new Reddit thread and somebody asks you about the viability of Espeon Garb, he's like one of those people knock at your doors and is like, would you like to speak about this church of Espeon? He goes around advocating the right of all Espeons out there. So how about you introduce yourself, Johnny?
How's it going? I'm Johnny D14. Just Johnny, same Reddit username, TCGO name, and Discord name for pretty much everything. So yeah, if you're trying to find me, it's not too difficult. I am probably the biggest Espeon Garbodor shill on the planet, at least in the respective TCG subreddit. I've been maining this deck since around about a month after Guardians Rising's release. And I've expanded my taste into other decks, but this is the one that I felt has been one that's most comfortable for me and the one that I've had the fewest issues playing with.
All right, now we have the last one, Team Scoop TCG. So really to understand why I brought this guest on is now that we're technically YouTubers, it's all about the views, right? So open up a dictionary, and technically to be a team, you have to have at least 2 people. So I thought, if we invite this guy, there's got to be at least 2 people watching. So I'm going to double our viewership instantly. So how about you introduce yourself, Team Scoop?
Yeah, what's up? It's Robin Rode from Team Scoop, real name Robert. Been playing since about Fates Collide, so relatively newer than most of the other guys here. Yeah, I've been playing Espeon Garb pretty much since it came out. I'll mess around with other decks too. I've actually only taken it to 1 cup, but I play it online pretty frequently. I mean, I like it. It works good. I had a bad build, fixed it. So.
All right, sounds good. So if anybody's been wondering what we're going to talk about, I think it's pretty obvious. We're going to talk about Espeon Garb. This is actually the standard format one in case we're not really going to talk too much about the expanded one, but we'll touch upon it a little later on. So I think the best place to start is really to talk about what do you guys feel is the place of Espeon in the current metagame? Anybody want to start?
I guess I'll start. I definitely don't think I see it as much of like as much of a top tier deck as something like maybe Garbodor GX or like Golisopod, but I definitely think it's in like the pretty high sort of like tier mid to high tier 2 status as like a strong deck that most people might not think to play, right away. They'll probably move to like the Golisopod with Garbodor or Garb or Gardevoir. But I think like the Espeon Garbodor archetype as a whole is not one that people immediately jump to.
All right, so let's just try and put it in perspective. Let's have a top 10 list. Where would you guys put it?
For like are we talking like top 10 like best decks in format?
Yeah, your personal top 10.
I'd probably say like my own personal top 10, number 1, compared to other decks, probably like 5 or 6 maybe.
Yeah, probably in top 5.
Yeah.
I'd
top 5, but like number 5.
Yeah,
right.
I was thinking of either number 5 or number 6 looking into the top 5.
Yeah, my thing with Espeon, the reason I play decks is because I think they have 50-50 or better matchups mostly across the board. I think Espeon falls in that category. It's not objectively an amazing deck that just wins matchups left and right, like something like Guardy is. But I think it's strong enough in the right hands that it can walk over a lot of matchups if you play well, and that's why I play it.
Yeah, I like it. It has the ability with a choice band to like one-shot Volcanion, one-shot Drampas, one-shot Lele's if they have 3 energies attached. It does have its good matchups. It'll even like one-shot a setup Ho-Oh if you can get into that position. So like it has the power behind it. It's just like the confusion I feel like has diminished a little bit with the addition of Guzma. So the switching kind of hurts.
Does still have the advantage of being able to bait Guzmas and have them waste them early game, though.
That's true, yeah.
Not to mention, evolving itself plus fucking 60 plus confuse for energy and a choice band is really strong.
Yeah.
And that potential just completely screw them over if they go for the flip and miss it.
And it's also one of the rare decks that could actually bring a fat 200 beater from turn 1.
Right.
I have another question. So, I mean, we all agree that Espeon is a pretty decent deck, but apart from seeing it as a tech in Drampa, we haven't really seen Espeon done well at regionals. So, what do you guys think that is it mainly that there's not that many people playing it, or is it inherently weak, or what exactly?
I think it's that most people just like aren't playing it because they're moving towards like other of like top decks, like Guardy, Volcanion, Trampa, and they don't really think to go to that first.
Right.
Most people default to the hybrid build with both Drampa and Espeon, or just pure Drampa before they go Espeon. I'm not entirely sure why that is. Maybe it's because Drampa's a little easier to play and less taxing when you're playing it for potentially like 30 games during a regional.
Right. I mean, so you gotta throw it out, like the strength behind the Espeon, like Tord changed his list just to throw in a 1/1 Espeon line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Espeon's just a good starter, plus Divide GX can be really strong. But we also have to acknowledge that Espeon has trouble with certain decks like Golisopod and Greninja that can attack for a single energy and do good damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that the addition of Espeon EX in a deck like this can really like mitigate the trouble that Espeon GX has with those matchups, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess it'd be interesting to look at. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, yeah, like, with Divide, you can divide if you got some other stuff damaged, and then switch in with the EX and Miraculous Shine, take your knockouts.
For sure.
Yeah, the early pressure is pretty intense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about the deck itself. I want to do a little deck building exercise. We're going to sort of just look at what exactly you want to put into your Espeon Garb deck and see if we have any suggestions or anything you want to add. While most people want to look at, Pokemon first, I think I want to reverse that. Let's look at energy first. Is everybody pretty much dead set on 4 DCE and 8 Psychic?
Yes.
I run 4 DC and 7 Psychic, but I also run Super Rod.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the same boat. 7 Psychic, 4 DCE with the Super Rod.
But I think without Super Rod, 8 is better to have higher energy counts and not run out towards the end game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't run Super Rod in my deck, but it's because I find that more often than not, a game for me ends whether I win or lose. It ends before I need to like get energy back into a deck.
Alright, so
I'm the opposite way. I find a lot of my games go really long, so Super Rod can help me stay in the game longer. Especially with my 2 count of Carbotoxin, I can lock down a lot of decks for long periods of time and kind of stall out.
Yeah.
Right.
Alright, so now let's talk about the Pokemon itself. So is a 3-3 line Espeon standard, or is there any reason you want to run a 4-4 line?
You don't need 4-4.
3-3 is fine.
Yeah, I haven't had any issues like starting EVs with a 3-3 line. I see some people do like a 4-3, 4 EV, 3 Espeon. I mean that might. The list I'm looking at was semifinalist at Worlds. I played the 4-3 Espeon with one Flareon for the Metagross matchup.
I think that was Xander
believe,
Perils.
Yeah, Xander Peros list.
Yeah.
I'll agree, like last format, like when we had the other evolutions, like 4-3, and then whichever the other text you wanted was good. But once those rotated, like going down to a 3-3 Espeon was just fine.
Yeah, in a world without Flareon and Vaporeon in them, I don't see a reason to run 4 EVs. If anything, I'd run a second Tapu Koko to have the free retreat starter over an EV.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I mean, I
speaking
don't
of
think
Tapu Koko, what do you guys actually feel about Tapu Koko? Because I've actually done well without Tapu Koko simply because I rarely use it spread, and if I do need a retreater, since you run Floor Floatstone, I don't really feel a problem.
I love it personally because, like you said, you have 4 Floatstone to retreat, but the spread can be really helpful. And for me, the biggest thing to remember with Tapu Koko is that if you put a choice band on it, you're poking 50 for what's ever in front of you as long as it's a GX and also spreading. So that's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I don't keep a Coco in my list just because I don't. I mean, my list as it is right now, I think is overall pretty solid and pretty tight. I don't really have a lot of room for something like Coco. But it is an option I did consider for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's necessary. I just like it a lot.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah,
I do like it. The free retreat, especially first turn, is really good.
Yeah.
That way you can save your float stones. You don't have to float in EV or Espeon EX or something.
Yeah.
Right. It's also good if you don't have anything down with a float stone and you have to play a Guzma this turn. It gives you the availability to then immediately switch back into your attacker.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about the money card. Lele, is it a 3 or is it a 2? I've actually been finding more success with 2 simply because of the bench space, but I'm open to whatever you guys want to say.
I run 3 when I can because I think having more of them available is better. Because it's like Tord Reklev didn't plan on playing all 4 of his Lilies. He just ran 4 of them so he'd have access to them. That's kind of my mindset on it. 2 is fine. He'll do okay with it. But when I can, I run 3.
Right.
Yeah, I always run 3 in my list, just for the utility of being able to get whatever supporter I need. I think 3 overall is a pretty consistent number to have among most standard decks that run Tapu Lele. I think 2. I did run 2 for a little bit as well, and I was able to get along just fine. But having the third one really does help.
Right. I play the 3 as well, and I find, like, if you need it to, like, if you're running 3, you don't have to bench all 3 in the beginning of the game. But if you're playing out a long game and, like, you need a supporter, having that third Lele in the deck to use when you need it is really helpful.
Yeah, it could be a real lifesaver sometimes, especially if you need like that end game Guzma or like a really significant end, or like if you need to end after your opponent like does like a big wheel or algorithm GX, and you don't have the end in hand. Being able to have the Lele as an option to sort of nerf their GX is very, very handy.
It also helps late game if you get like end down to a small hand size and you have an Ultra Ball in hand. If they end you to 2 and one of those cards is an Ultra Ball, your turn, draw a card. If it's something you don't need, Ultra Ball, Lele for Sycamore, and you've recovered from your end.
Yeah,
and obviously it is a decent attacker with the choice man. It does a 2-hit KO, Volcanion and Ho-Oh. It's not obviously the optimal play since Espeon does about the same, but it is an option.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are times when I've had a DC in my hand when I'm about to Sycamore, I just slap it down on Lily in case I want to attack later. Worst case scenario is you come in and energy drive. Best case scenario is they waste like an enhanced hammer on it, and big deal. I've lost energy on my Lily.
Yeah.
That would have been gone anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about the other part to Espeon Garb. Obviously, it's the Garbodor, right? So you have the 4 Trubbishes. I'm pretty sure nobody's going to debate me on that.
Nope.
But is there... Well, in the past, we have seen a 3-1 split with the Trash Avalanche. Recently, most of us have been playing 2-2. Is there any reason why you would want to play 3-1?
If you're playing the previous standard format, I'd say 3-1's optimal. Or if your local meta doesn't really use decks that rely on abilities, I'd say maybe a 3-1 would be acceptable. But since so many decks nowadays are so reliant on an ability as a clutch to be able to accelerate energy, to hit bigger numbers, or to use a crucial attack, I don't really see any reason now to not run a 2-2 split.
Yeah, the only time I could see running a 3-1 is if you're super afraid of Mirror, because the Trashalanche is really clutch in Mirror, but other than that, the extra Garbotoxin with a bunch of tools lets you shut down Bulu, it lets you shut down Guardy, it lets you shut down Solgaleo or Volcanion or anything else that relies on abilities.
Especially Metagross.
Absolutely.
Right.
Really, Garb is the only deck in the format that doesn't rely on abilities.
Yeah.
Golisopod doesn't really use a whole lot of abilities itself unless it's...
Yeah, but Golisopod's generally a Garb variant.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so you know what? I have a few other cards. I'm just going to name them. Some of them I have played with, some of them I haven't. I just want to get your opinions on it. They're pretty much techs.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll start with Espeon EX. Is it a must-have?
It's good.
See, it's very good. You could call it a tech, but it's definitely one of the main cards for my deck against evolution decks. I think more of techs as a way to deal with one specific deck, but I think Espeon GX is so much versatility against. It's so much of a threat against so many other different decks.
It's such a good card that it starts to blur the line between what is attack and what's just good in every other matchup.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, the one card difference I played between the two League Cups I've played with it, the first one when I top 8'd, I did not play Espeon EX, and the second one I did, and it made the Guardy matchup completely trivial because the girl playing Guardy just couldn't keep Guardy on the board for more than a turn. And I also managed to knock out a Kirlia and Sylveon and stuff to get ahead in prizes while also making her rare candies worthless.
It also helps, especially the Metagross matchup, it's so much easier to hit, 80 or 90 HP than it is to hit that 250.
Yep.
Oh, without a doubt. Before Guardians Rising came out, Metagross was, for me anyways, Metagross was the toughest matchup for this deck, just because of its enormous bulk, its ability to discard the energy and get it back, and the psychic resistance was the biggest killer.
Right.
All right, so here's another one. Oranguru.
We also need to mention it has really good synergy with Divide GX.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I've won 4 prizes. I've taken 4 prizes on a turn to win a game thanks to Divide GX. It's insane.
Yeah, and you got Divide into Miraculous. Miraculous Shine can just completely destroy their board state.
Mm-hmm. Especially on something like what's it called? Now I'm kind of blanking. If you Po-Town, Greninja, that's what it is, because Frogadier is only a 10 HP difference between Frogadier and Froakie. So if you Po-Town them once, and if they evolve their Frogadiers from Froakie, if you Po-Town them once, and then you only have to put 4 damage on them.
Yeah, and then slowing down Greninja is really the only way I think you can beat him with pure Espeon.
Yeah. Keep stacking the damage, keep Miraculous shining, especially also now that we don't have rough season format anymore. They can't heal away any counters you might have put on with Divide.
All right, so the next one isn't a Passimian, but it is an Oranguru.
I played Oranguru in my list almost, I want to say almost forever, because I would often find myself playing my hand down to 2 or even 1 card. So being able to have that Oranguru to draw 1 or 2, especially on turn 1 if you need the psychic energy, was super clutch. But late game, it just sat on the bench and didn't do anything because I had the Garbotoxin live. So
that's my thing is I haven't tested Oranguru, but my instincts say that if you're ability locking and want to be ability locking in 9% of games, then Oranguru is going to be a dead card for most of the time.
Yeah, that was the biggest issue I had with it. So it would become a dead card much too fast. I couldn't easily get it off the bench.
And really, you want to be using that bench space on something more useful.
Yeah,
Something
exactly.
like an Espeon EX or a Tapu Koko.
hmm
All right.
All right, so in the latest 60 cards online tournament, which is like a 60-ish person tournament that goes on through a month, the winning deck was an Espeon Garb. That said, this was before the whole spread idea became more prevalent, and that list played Necrozma GX. What do you guys feel about the card?
That's pretty. I mean, I don't play Necrozma like almost at all in standard outside of when I used to play Metagross. But the only time I've seen Necrozma be useful for Espeon is in expanded, but not in standard. No.
I literally
I
feel
just
the Crosby in general without Dimension Valley.
Oh, I know.
I just don't like it in standard because if like the Black Ray GX is good, I don't think anybody's going to deny that. But if you want to attack with it again, you have to discard those 3 energies. And if you're not playing Super Rod, that's 3 energies that you're not going to get back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of those cards that doesn't. It's like one of the new cards that almost nobody plays in standard, but is like pretty damn good in expanded.
All right, so let's continue on. There is one more Pokemon I did want to talk about. So we all seen the variant of Drampa with Espeon with a 1-1 line or even a 2-2 line. Let's do the opposite. Can we add in a Drampa?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think so.
Especially if your stadium choice is Po-Town over Parallel City, then Drampa's a really good addition. But even without it, I could see Drampa being useful.
Yeah, because Espeon has like a pretty decent amount of bulk at 200 HP, so
A lot of things are going to be two-shotting you.
Yeah, and since you have only the 1 retreat, you could just discard your Psychic for the cheap retreat cost and promote the Drampa.
And we're also playing 4 float stones, so
Yeah.
All right, so now let's move on to like the meat of the deck, the trainers. So obviously there's some trainers I don't really want to talk about. The draw supporters, that's pretty much been solved. I don't talk about the Ultra Balls. I don't want to talk about the Float Stones. So let's start with Rescue Stretcher. We've all talked about. Some of you have said you play Super Rod, but do you also play Rescue Stretcher?
yeah, I got a 1-1 split in mine. If I were to get rid of the Super Rod, it would be for a second stretcher.
I actually don't play Super Rod at all in my list. I just play the 1 Rescue Stretcher to make room for other things like other trainer cards I think are necessary.
I ran the 1-1 split for the first cup I played in, but I actually cut the Rescue Stretcher for Espeon EX for the second cup. And I feel like I personally like Super Rod more because you're running really thick lines of all your Pokemon. You're running 3 Lilies, 3-3 Espeons, 4-2-2 Garb lines. So most of the time you'll have the Pokemon you need to back up what just got knocked out, so you don't need to put it back in your hand immediately. But I like the versatility of being able to get your energy back. Like I said earlier, being able to get energy back if the game goes long can really help you stay in and not run out of steam.
All right, so let's talk about Choice Band. Is it a 4 of, or is it a 3, or can you get away with the 3 of?
3's fine. Yeah, 3's fine for me.
3's good.
If you can fit a 4th, by all means, but I think 3 is enough.
Yeah, I think maybe in my opinion, you want to run 4 if you're playing expanded and you have Tool Drop Trubbish.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so there has.
You want to be running a lot of things if you're playing Tool Drop, but
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, $7 common now, rip in peace.
I think it's going up actually. It might
probably. It just won a regional.
I think I saw it at $10 the other day just for the non-hollow.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, me neither.
All right, so while it's not always been relative to Espeon, there has been talk about playing 2 Bridget over 1. I don't personally think it's necessary. What do you guys think?
In this deck, I think you're fine with 1.
Yeah, 1's fine.
I honestly prefer to use 2 because when you have such a small chance of prizing your 1, if you only just play the 1, I think that when you do prize it, it's pretty detrimental to set up. I mean, it is possible to set up without it, but it makes it much more difficult.
I think we're fine without it. Just if you start Eevee, so even if you go first, you're gonna have a 200 HP Pokemon sitting in your active spot. If not, if you like only start Trubbish, like and don't have access to your Bridget, Trubbish with the 70 HP, like it's not gonna get one shot on your opponent's first turn. Like as long as you don't, even if you attach a Psychic to it, Lele's only gonna hit for 60 damage. And unless for some reason they put like a Fighting Fury Belt on it, it's not gonna one
Or
shot
a
you.
Kukui.
Right.
Yeah,
So
if they like Kukui and then use Psybeam turn 1, then you're donked. But I definitely see where you guys come from with that. But I don't know. I prefer to have 2 over 1 just to keep it safe.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem to run 2 in the deck. I just think that this is a deck that can get away with 1 because if you prize it, it's not the end of the world because, like we said, you have the 200 HP. It's also confusing that really can slow them down and give you time to set up and get your Trubbish, get your Espeon, get everything else going in the back.
Yeah, that's true too.
All right, so now let's talk about the boy wonder, Guzma.
It's your boy.
The 4
Oh,
of,
boy.
or can you get away with 3 of?
You're fine with 3.
Yeah,
I'm playing 3.
Yeah, 3 in most. I think 3 in most decks is fine. Something like Gliscod is probably going to want 4, but I
Yeah,
think
like Gliscod Volcanion can run 4, but most things will just run 3.
yeah.
All right, so now me and Blagger have sort of talked a little about this on the subreddit, but let's talk about Acerola.
I like her.
I mean, I like it. I like Acerola. I don't know how much I like it in this deck because I haven't had a chance to test with it.
I'm playing a 1 of in mine, and at the cup I went to, like, kind of saved my ass. Like, I had like a severely damaged Espeon in my active spot, and then I had another Eevee that had been on my bench. So I played the Acerola, moved the Eevee up, and then dropped the Espeon on top of the Eevee, and then attached an energy, and then hit for confusion. So like it can come in clutch.
Yeah, another combo you can do is pick up your Espeon. If you don't have an Eevee on the board, but you have a free retreater, you can bench the Eevee, and then if abilities are active, you can actually energy evolve from the deck. And that lets you evolve in the same turn and hit a confusion.
Yeah.
Yes, it's pretty much a fresh Eevee, fresh Espeon.
Yep. You end up with a dead Espeon in your hand, but if you pull another Eevee or just in it back in, then you're fine.
Yeah, or if you're like you guys said, if you have an Eevee already on the bench for at least a turn.
That too.
But Blackguard, I think that's what you would call a cute play. So is it worth playing 2 Acerolas though?
I play 2 Acerola.
Interesting. I might have to give that a shot sometime. I mean, I do have a full art Acerola just sitting in my binder, not really doing anything. So.
Hey, I pulled a full art Acerola after my top 8, so I saw that as a sign.
Karma.
Yep.
All right. So let's talk about stadiums. Unlike most other decks in the format, this is probably the only deck that can run 3 different stadiums, and those are Parallel City, Po Town, and Altar of the Moon. Let's start with.
So I ran Altar for the longest time because I don't know. I like being able to have when I didn't have a float attached to Espeon, it was able to retreat for free, which is pretty nice. But now that I run 4 floats, I definitely think Altar is not maybe as necessary as it might be if you're only running, say, 3.
Yeah, and Espeon only retreats for 1, too.
Yes, that's pretty useful. I mean, most things in this deck retreat pretty cheaply, like, Espeon GX is a 1 retreat cost, Espeon EX, 1 retreat cost, Tapu Lele, 1. The only thing, it's only the Garbodors that are the very heavy hitters, and
4 float stones and 3 Guzma, so I'm okay with those switching options.
Yeah.
Going back
Plus,
to that,
you're putting when you're putting Trash Lance Garbodor in the active spot, more often than not, it's probably going to be to like finish the game off, and you're expecting it to be knocked out. So
yeah, you just leave it there till it dies.
Yeah,
especially with abandoned.
Yeah,
I find the other 2 stadiums to just be a little more helpful. Like Potown hits with number fixing, and like Parallel helps like with the Galissapod matchup. Like you can either limit their bench or limit their damage output. Same thing with Volcanion. Limit anything either or that you want to limit. Potown really helped me out in my cup I was playing against Gliscod Zoroark, and I had the Potown out, and he couldn't move it. So I devolved his Zoroarks, and he evolved them back up. So now they both have 30 damage on them. I devolved them again, and he didn't want to evolve them back up again just because if I do this, they're going to be at enough damage. I devolve them one more time, they're done.
Yeah, I think
especially if you're running Tapu Koko and Espeon, or even just one or the other. Potown has really good synergy with them.
Yeah, I think in addition to that, I think Potown overall just helps with the sort of heavy evolution matchups. But I think Parallel City, I usually try to use it. I would try to get it set up for turn 1. If I was going first, thought I could disrupt my opponent's setup because, well, they only have a bench space of 3. Having to bench Olele if they want to go to Bridget, they'll only be able to get 2 Pokemon that they want on their bench.
All right, so personally, I'm actually in love with Parallel City, and I'll just go ahead and try and sell it to you guys. So firstly, let's say you do start with Parallel City, you could put it aside to limit their bench, so that if not the enemy, it's not that serious, but if your opponent wants to do the Lele into Bridget play, they can only max bring out 2 other guys, which is it could be relatively interesting. Like secondly, Potown is a dead card in certain matchups. While Volcanion and Drampa aren't necessarily terrible matchups, I'm not a big fan of dead cards. And in Volcanion, you could do that the other side so that their damage is lowered, which is relatively important because that can mean an extra steam up or something of the sort. First, also
make sort of offensive plays with Parallel City, like you Guzma up something that can't retreat easily, or just something they would bump normally, like a Turtonator with no energy or a Tapu Lele, and then Parallel. So they're forced to discard more things they actually want instead of just bumping their Leles.
Yeah, it also could be used offensively in the late game. I've lost a little too many games due to unlucky Guzma plays from my opponent. So you would just parallel away all the damage stuff or all the easy pickings, and then your opponent would just have to go that much further to try and look for a KO.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think no matter what your choice of stadium for this deck is, more often than not, it's going to be helpful to you, like regardless of what happens. But I think for most situations, Potown is my stadium of choice.
I mean, I think in this deck you're fine with Potown or Parallel. It's a matter of preference.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, I've been switching back and forth. Like, both of them have, like, things going for them. So, Potown, if you want to help with number fixing, so, like, if you get to a cup and you notice, like, a lot of Golisopod or, like, a lot of Metagross, I'm going to throw in Potown. Right. Anything with, like, high HPs, like, I'm going to throw in Potown, but anything else, like, I'm going to throw in Parallel.
I put Parallel personally, but I've kind of been singing Potown's praises, but it's also worth noting that Energy Evolution bypasses Potown, so you're one of the few evolution decks that just kind of doesn't care about it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
I think it's the strongest reason. One of the stronger reasons to be able to run Potown in this deck is because you can get around it with Energy Evolution.
Yep.
Additionally, if you do run that one tech Drampa, I think Potown's value just exponentially rises.
Yeah, if you're running Drampa, absolutely Potown.
Yeah, but without a doubt.
All right, so we sort of talked about how the deck is built with some minor, 1 or 2 personal decisions. So let's talk about their matchups. And specifically, I want to ask you guys, how would you utilize Divide GX? Because I think it's one of the most interesting GX attacks in the format. So let's start with the big boss. What do you do against Garbodor?
Which one is that?
There's a couple ways you could use Divide against Guardy. It's either you divide straight onto their Ralts and their Curlia to stop them from setting up, especially if they have energy on it, then you just waste their energy attachment. Or you use it to set up an Espeon Devolution play. Or you just use it to clean up a KO if you get really close to knocking out a Guardy, but not quite.
Yeah. I see a lot of people, a lot of people spoke somewhat high praise for sort of like the early game, but in my experience, I found it that I didn't actually really use it early game late often. I would use like late game to finish off like softened up stuff, or like you guys said, to set up the Espeon EX plays.
I think that's part of the skill ceiling of the deck is deciding when to use Divide. It takes a lot of reading the board state and deciding when it'll benefit you the most to Divide instead of using Psybeam or Psychic.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, if you think it's a deck where you can get away with like just hitting with the confusion and making them retreat out, so you're like basically hit and running, and you get a bunch of stuff damaged, so you're just spreading a bunch of damage around, then late game that Divide GX is going to come in handy. You can get stuff within range for the Miraculous Shine Devolve play, or you can just, kill it if you have to.
I think it can also discourage people from evolving further if you have something like Potown up, because I was playing against Greninja this past weekend at like a non-competitive league game, and I found that when I would put damage counters on their Starmie, because I did a 1/1 Starmie, when I put damage counters on that, he'd be hesitant to evolve it up because he knew I had the Espeon EX, and if he evolved it, it would be within knockout range after the devolution.
Also, if you can manage to Divide before they evolve Staryu, it's only 40 HP, so that's an easy 2 prizes off Froakie plus Staryu. Plus, they can't get their Starmie out as quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, in my cup, my first round, I was actually playing against that Pikachu Magnezone deck.
Nice.
It was actually one of the guys on my team, and I ended up taking a 4-prize turn off of a Divide GX.
Yikes.
I had a Pikachu with 120 damage on it. He's only got 130 HP. And then the Magnemites only have 60 HP. I had 30 on one of them. So I was able to hit so I used the Divide, put the one on the Pikachu to knock it out for 2 prizes, put 30 damage on the already damaged Magnemite, and then put the rest of the 60 on the fresh Magnemite and take a 4-prize turn.
Some pretty sweet math right there.
Yeah.
I actually had the chance to do something against the Typhlosion deck, of all things, at the League Cup I went to, where I had 30 on a Cyndaquil and 30 on a Talonflame from Psybeams. So I put 60 on the Cyndaquil to knock it out, 30 more on another Cyndaquil to knock it out, and then 10 on the Talonflame. That way a Psychic for 90 would knock it out perfectly. Right. So it gives you a lot of opportunities for some really good math. You just need to read the board well.
Mm-hmm. Right, and that's the thing, too. Like, if you're not going to take a knockout, it can help set you up for a future knockout.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's. I think, like I said, it's a great boon if you're playing Espeon EX or Potown.
All right, so one of the harder matchups we sort of foreshadowed earlier is Golisopod. I think it's really hard because Garbodor is a little useless, and a smart Golisopod player won't burn too many items. What do you guys do in that matchup?
Stack damage as much as I can, because even if they're only putting 1 energy on it, if you run the choice band, you're still hitting for 120, which is a 2-hit KO. Even without that, if you just hit it for Psychic without, if you hit it with Psychic without choice band, you're still hitting 90, which is enough to knock out the Wimpod beneath it if you decide to go with that.
Yeah, I think it's really kind of a war of attrition against Golisopod. You're trying to wear them out of resources while avoiding being knocked out. Because you're trading 2-hit KOs, because they can't knock you out, you can't knock them out.
Yeah, they can get closer to knocking you out than you can with them, though, because they have more HP.
Yeah.
And they can do more damage to you. I mean, 150 for their 1 energy plus 120 on you with their 1 energy, or 150 with choice.
And their first attack actually one-shots our Garbodor.
Every non-GX in the deck is 1 shot by first impression.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's a pretty big deal.
Uh-huh.
All right, so let's talk about the other Garbodor variant, Drampa. Personally, I haven't had too many trouble in that matchup, but I've heard some people have. So what advice would you guys give?
I think Drampa's pretty favorable for Espeon, because the biggest thing here is that you can one-shot them. If they have 3 energy and you have choice band, that's 180. but they can't one-shot you at all unless they have Kukui, which a lot of people just don't run anymore without Versus Seeker.
Yeah, I think pretty much what everyone else has said. There's really not much you can do to Drampa that they can do to you back, I guess, because you can one hit them if they have their free energy on. But you can also, I find that more often than not, you can set up faster than they can if you go first, because you can have that 200 HP Pokemon ready to go, and then
Yeah, you also have the disruption with the confusion. So if they try to like big wheel early, they have a potential to just not be able to do it and hurt themselves instead.
Yeah.
And with that 30, you don't even need to hit the choice band.
Yeah, it's makes a one-hit KO easier.
Alright, so I don't want to talk about too much about expanded because the deck is relatively, I want to say its position in the format is even lower than what it is in standard. But what do you guys feel about the deck in expanded?
I think we have to give it like I said, we have to give it a little bit of time. I think it definitely has some things you want to change and remove. Like for example, I mentioned I played Necrozma in my expanded version. I returned to the 3-1 Garbodor split for expanded because items are just so much more prevalent there, and being able to just knock out almost everything for the 1 energy on Garbodor is a pretty enormous boon. Plus in expanded, you have options like the Team Plasma, Leafeon with Energy Crush to help against Darkrai, like Turbo Darkrai decks.
Flareon and Vaporeon are both playable.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, Vaporeon can make you just completely destroy Volcanion turtles.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, Volcanion with like Turtonator and other friends is picking up. I mean, no pun intended. It is picking up a lot more steam and expanded. It's not.
The dog got your
It's not
joke.
popular enough already.
I mean, I'd say it's pretty easily a contender for a tier 1 deck, and being able to tag a single card to almost auto-win against it is really strong. The only thing I see as the problem with Espeon Expanded is continuing with the Cool Drop, like, Dimension Valley Toolbox variant of Garb, because you can run Tool Drop, obviously. You can run Dimension Valley. I don't know how helpful Espeon GX is versus just heavy things like Necrozma and lots of Tool Drop, focusing on that more.
Yeah, Tool Drop is overall pretty deadly, I think, against this deck because in expanded you really want to be running Dimension Valley, especially if you have something like Oricorio, the Supernatural Dance Oricorio, or Necrozma, especially because you can be able to attack with all those for 1 energy less, or you can attack with Oricorio for no energy if you're going up against Night March.
I feel like too in expanded it makes Garbodor more of like almost an early game attacker now because items are so prevalent in that in expanded. I know when I was at Fort Wayne, I was playing Turbo Dark, and my first 2 matches were against Espeon Garb, and like even just trying to watch my item output, like it was hard, and Garb just comes out swinging so hard and expanded.
There's lots of decks in expanded that just can't run without using all their Ultra Balls, all their Battle Compressors, all their Versus Seekers early.
Yeah, in my Turbo Dark Ride list, I run like well over 20 items, so most of those are like essential for setting up as well, especially if it's like an A spec like Dowsing Machine or Computer Search.
Yeah,
you're gonna. I think not Drampa, my bad. I think Garbodor on its own could basically be its like own separate deck for expanded because just the heavy item use prevalent there. I mean, as a lot of people move their standard decks based with GXs into expanded, they learn to be a little bit more careful around items. But like the big popular decks, like Turbo Darkrai or especially Night March, they just have a big target on their head with Garbodor.
Yeah, and if Vespiquen sees a resurgence, then that might check Garb a little bit better because we saw it last standard that it had a really good Garb matchup because it could just be faster and sort of beat them down before they got a chance to build up. I think we should keep in mind that I think the Psychic weakness catches up with Espeon a little bit more in expanded because Tool Drop is so popular.
Yeah. Plus, Night March has the option of attacking with Pumpkaboo.
Yeah, Night March would just... I feel like Night March and Tool Drop would just kind of completely wreck you if you ever tried to use Espeon against them.
Trevenant will also hit you for weakness.
Yeah, if Trevenant Tree Slams, that's 120 out of a deck that normally just does chip damage, so you're kind of helping them along a little bit.
I've won games against Night March decks, but it's mostly because they ran Marshadow. I mean, the other night I was playing Expanded. They're trying to attack with Marshadow, but they couldn't, so I put up Garbodor, and I did almost 800 damage after weakness.
I mean, if the Night March player tries to put a Marshadow down against an Espeon Garb deck, they kind of deserve to lose. But
yeah, I mean, but also this guy was. I tried to come prepared for Night March and Expanded. Like I played the Oricorio, and it was on my bench turn 1. But even still, this guy was like pumping every Night Marcher into the discard, and I was able to knock out both his Pumpkaboo and the Joltik by like turn 3.
Yeah, it sounds like he didn't have a lot of reserve because he only needs 5 things in the discard to knock out everything in your deck except Lily, basically because of weakness.
Yeah, and even then, you can still, if they have a DCE on them, I'm pretty sure how much HP does Pumpkaboo have?
60.
60.
Yeah, so even if they have like a DCE attached, just put your DCE on the Lele, and you can knock it out anyways.
Right. Well, originally I wanted to talk about the deck going into Crimson Invasion, but honestly, I don't think the set brings too much to the deck. So I think
Crimson Invasion doesn't really bring that much competitively in general. Definitely not to Espeon. Not that I've seen, at least.
The only one I thought of was, I'm pretty sure this is coming in Crimson Invasion. There's a new stadium that how it works is when you Pokemon evolves, it removes special conditions, but this stadium makes it so that no matter if they evolve or devolve, they don't lose special conditions. So I can maybe see that being useful if you really want to rely on confusion, but
I think that was interesting.
Yeah.
There's, I believe there's also I want to say it's a stadium, or it's either a stadium or a tool card, where when your Pokemon retreat, the energy actually goes to your hand instead of the discard.
Yeah, I believe that's a tool. I could maybe like say I've been like maybe a one of, but when you're running 3 choice 4 float in a deck, I think you're like all set with tools. Those are like the ones you definitely want to run.
I think if you really, really want to be retreating with Espeon and then resetting the psychic energy back to your hand, I can see that, but I think most of the time you just want to keep your energy on the board, and you run enough that you're not really going to run out that easily, even if you retreat.
Yeah, especially because it has the 1 retreat cost.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think this has been a solid foundation for anybody interested in Espeon Garb. I think we pretty much talked about just about everything. And worst case, even all of us here have at least had second thoughts about certain decisions. I guess this is the time for you guys to say your goodbyes and choose the next deck that you guys want to hear about. So I guess we'll just do it democratically. So let's just start with Blackguard.
Well, thanks for having me. It was fun. Hope to come back and have a good time for the next one. I don't really know what deck we're going to talk about next. I played a lot of Water last season. If you all want to do that, Lapras is fun.
Nice. Yeah, it's really nice to be on the show. I think probably the next deck I'd like to see talked about is probably Trampa Garbodor, because it's getting a lot of hype. And it's a deck I would like to build because, Espeon and Drampa have almost identical trainer bases and very, very similar Pokemon bases. So you're almost able to swap a few cards and have a totally different deck that's ready to go. So yeah, I'd like Drampa Garb. If not that, I'd probably say Volcanion, because a lot of people praise Volcanion for being like the most consistent deck, but I don't see people post that many lists. I haven't really been able to find anything, any good foundation on it, so I think it'd be interesting to talk about that as well.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was actually really fun. If I had to pick a deck for the next one, I'd probably go with Golisopod. It's what I've been running a lot lately. Possibly talk about the future build with the new Zoroark GX from Shining Legends. I think that's a really, really good deck going forward. So I think that's going to have to be my pick.
We could also just talk about Zoroark in general, different variants of it in Standard and Expanded, because I think that's a card that has a ton of potential.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about. It could definitely have like an episode on its own.
Yeah. It's just such a good card.
Yeah.
All right, well,
I mean,
thank you to all three
yeah.
of you. It has been a pleasure speaking with you, especially about our sweetheart deck, Espeon Garb. I hope you all join me on the next episode, and see you all later.
Adios.
Later.